Hi, everybody. This is Matt Shepard. Welcome to Shep Shower and Shave. And today we're welcomed by Cory Schlesinger, the former Lion. Will talk to us about his days at Nebraska, winning a national championship, playing in the NFL, and what he's up to now. That's coming up here on this edition of Shep Shower and Shave. And we're brought to you by Fifth Avenue. That's where we are right now, doing our podcast from Fifth Avenue on the beautiful porch right here on this place where you can watch the Lions, the Red Wings, the Tigers, the Pistons, Michigan State. It's unbelievable. Perfect, the patio for private parties. And they've got 36 cold beers on tap. They've got great food and drink specials. And a kitchen that is open until 2 a.m. Cory and I just had the chicken and pasta. It was fantastic.
Absolutely.
His beautiful daughter, Natalie, had the pizza. It's outstanding. So swing by Fifth Avenue right here in Royal Oak. Great stuff, great people, and very attractive waitresses, I might add. We're also brought to you by Northwestern Tech. Heating and cooling employers are desperate for trained technicians. At Northwestern Tech, HVAC is all they teach. They've been doing it for 38 years. You can get trained, certified, and into the field in only 10 and a half months. Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works. Call them today, 248-358-4006. And we're brought to you by Nate Noth Designs. You can follow his work on Instagram or on Facebook. Nate at Goldwell Studios. That's Nate Noth Designs. He's the designer of the Shep Shower and Shave podcast logo. So Cory Schlesinger is with us. We're out here at Fifth Avenue, and he's one of the best guys that you could deal with. As a pro, I never covered him at Nebraska, but with the Detroit Lions, he was one of those go-to guys. And that can be, at times, Cory, that can be a little daunting because there were some guys who just didn't want to talk. And we in the media go to guys like you on a regular basis. Did it ever get old for you? Were there times where you just get home and you go, all right, enough is enough, man. Come on.
Well, when you only win 2 games in some of those seasons, it's kind of hard to talk about the positive things because there was not a lot of positive things out there. Having a radio show during those type of seasons also was tough. It was tough to get players out there. It was tough to talk about the game. But the good thing was the fans always showed up. Yeah. We were still able to talk about it. And sometimes we talk a little bit about the game, half hour about the game. Then, the second half of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about what the player does outside of football. It's kind of interesting to see what these players do. I had no idea. Some of these guys wrote poetry. I'm like, holy smokes, I had no idea. You're a 6'5" tackle that writes poetry.
Who was that?
Kalimba Edwards.
Really?
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting that some of these guys do outside of football.
I think some people they're probably surprised at that because they think you guys you're in that clubhouse, you're / locker room on a regular basis. You guys are in meeting rooms, you're in film rooms, and it really is. You're closer to them than you are your family during the football season, and yet you didn't know a lot of those things about players. Would you consider them friends, or are they just coworkers to you, do you think?
Well, they're coworkers, but then again, you have a relationship because you need to be on that guy's team, basically. He needs to be on my team.
That thing is loud, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That Amtrak train is so loud.
So the players, you get to be pretty intimate with them because you got to trust what they're doing. So you get to know these guys, not only in the huddle, but it's kind of interesting how it seems like I hung out with a lot of linebackers. Even though I played against them all the time.
That kind of fits your personality, though, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean, because we're going to hit each other in practice, but you just get to know each other. But you got to spend a lot of time with these guys. So during the season, you are there with them a lot. And you're on the plane with them. You're in the locker room with them. And you're sitting with them in meeting rooms. So you get a chance to understand and talk to some of these guys. And they're pretty interesting.
How did having a radio show help you, do you think, in Detroit?
Oh, man. What I liked about the radio show was the opportunity to discuss the game, kind of point out things that most fans probably don't get a chance to see or understand because usually on Mondays we go out there and watch film after the game, and you can see what kind of went wrong, what went right, what we can do to get better. And we can discuss these things also, and then the fans can understand, okay, this is what we need to do to get better. Even though I think Stoney, man, one time I kind of got upset at him. He's like, well, what about this? I'm like, listen, we're trying to do this, and we're just not working right now. And I got a little upset at him. And
well, that's all right.
I had to calm down a little bit.
That happens.
And my buddy, he's like, Cory, you got to calm down a little bit. I'm like, I know it. But it's frustrating because, I'm out there trying to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I don't know if I felt like everybody was doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, it gets frustrating that the losses just start weighing on you. But it was like...
Do you go home? I mean, those losses, I mean, they really take their toll because I don't think people realize just how much you guys work. You're working every single day. You're in the film room. It's not like you're just putting together a game plan and saying, let's just see what we can do. And if this stuff works, then so be it. I mean, you're planning things out.
Oh, absolutely.
How frustrating does it get when it's not coming to fruition?
Well, I think people watch movies like some of those football movies and the Playmakers on ESPN where it was like that. That is not what happens. And we go to meetings. We're there all day. We get there at 7 o'clock. We get home at 5 or get out at 5 o'clock. We're there watching film, putting our game plan in, practicing, walkthroughing it. As soon as practice is done, we're watching the film of our practice.
Right. Then
we watch the game film of who we're going to be, our opponents we're going to be playing against. So we are putting in a full day. It does kind of hurt a little bit because, we did put a lot of work into these things, and I guess just not enough work, I guess. That's why we won 2 games sometimes. So,
yeah. Was there ever a time where you come home and you greet your wife at the door, she greets you at the door, and just say, this is just either A, not worth it, or I can't take this any longer, and I want this to change so desperately. What do I have to do? Do I need to get out of here, or do I not even want to play the sport that I love so much?
I never said I never want to play the sport. I do my job. So when I watch film and I get graded by the coach and they say, hey, Cory, you grade at 95%, that is what I'm supposed to be doing. Now I need the rest of these guys to do it. I can't say they did bad because I want to point fingers at anybody.
Right.
As a team ourselves, we did not finish what we're supposed to be doing. But my job is to go out there, hit guys, make tackles on kickoff coverage, do whatever I have to do, what my job was supposed to be at that time. And I felt like most of the time I did that. There was a few times, though, you're thinking, I can't wait to watch film because I had a good game, and you watch film, it's like, wow, I didn't score out too well this game. But then there's some days you're like, man, I really don't want to watch that film on Monday because I don't think I did really well. And also the coach is like, Cory, that was a great game. You got all these. I'm like, what the heck happened here? But it's amazing how it happens. But there has been never a time that I felt like, you know what, I better stop doing this because it's not fun anymore. No, I'm going to go out there and do my job. I'm going to go out there and hit somebody, go down and kick off coverage and blow up the wedge, do whatever I have to do because this is my job. And that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
What's the hardest thing about playing in the NFL?
Ooh, the hardest thing? Well, you're playing against some great athletes. That's one thing. You got to, I don't know, geez, that's a tough question there.
I mean, you got to maintain your body.
You do.
Their discipline is unbelievable.
The good thing for me was I actually stayed pretty healthy. I have not had a surgery in my NFL career, so that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Some guys had 11 and 7 years, and I'm like, holy smokes, I didn't have any surgeries. And so far, so good. As long as I keep my body in shape and I keep exercising and keep conditioning and stuff like that, I still try to maintain a physique, keep my body feeling good.
Yeah, you're in good shape.
And I think that will hopefully sustain me a long time.
Do you still work out?
I still do. And actually, I'm a strength coach at Allen Park High School where I teach. And so I try to...
That helps you, I guess.
That does, because I have to represent what I'm talking about here. Right. So I got to look the part. But, the main thing what I do in that program is educate the students on how to lift properly. They want to do these big open flies with dumbbells and stuff like that. I'm like, that is the most dangerous thing that you could be doing to your body right now. We don't need to be doing these things. I go, who showed you this? Well, everything's online, so everything. I saw it online. Well, don't do it. I also saw a video on the line that says, don't ever do that. So I'm going to, shoot you that email or that video also. But, maintaining my problem is I'm not doing as much cardio as you should be, and I still like to eat just as much as I always did, and I'm just not moving as much as I do. Had my daughters mowing the yard today, so I still didn't get any cardio in today. So
That's all right. You deserve it. Cory Schlesinger joins us here on Shep Shower and Shave. He was a 6th-round draft pick of the Lions in 1995. Was there a time where you thought, I'm not making this team?
I'll tell you the story about that one. I was drafted in 95 and to a team that really doesn't run a fullback. But it was kind of interesting because when we were playing our national championship game in Miami, we got a chance to watch the Miami Dolphins and Lions play. And I remember watching the fullback and being like, holy smokes, I can do this. Well, the fullback at the time was Tom Beer, who was a converted linebacker trying to play fullback.
Wayne State guy, right?
Wayne State, absolutely. So I'm like, I could do this. And it was kind of interesting because after I didn't go to any Senior Bowl games. I didn't get invited to the Combine.
Really?
When I got tested out at Nebraska, next thing you know, like, holy smokes, where's this guy come from? I tested out really well, looked good. Everything about me was pretty strong. So I was flying out to the Raiders and Green Bay and the Lions, stuff like that. And the offense coordinator said to me, hey, Cory, you're not going to run the ball. You're not going to catch the ball. We want you to block for number 20. I'm like, well, heck, I can do that. I came from Nebraska, man. That's what we do most of the time.
Yeah.
And so they drafted me. It was a great day because, like I said, I was kind of overlooked, and they brought me in and to see what I could do. Well, it worked for about eight or 9 weeks, and then like, Cory, we're going to go back to run and shoot type stuff because Barry does not really follow you that much, stuff like that. I'm like, hey, that's understandable. So I'm still playing my special teams. Well, the season was done. We went back to the first minicamp the next season, and Tom Moore goes, well, we're going back to run and shoot. I'm like, oh, raise my hand. Could you please release me now so I can find another team because there's no fullback in this offense here. Well, I talked to the scouts about this. I go, there's no fullback in this offense. They're like, Cory, nope, just keep doing what you're doing on special teams. I'm like, all right. So first cut comes by. I'm like, guys, man, you're screwing me over a little bit. And like, well, no, just keep playing what you're doing. So the second cut comes by. And then so now I'm like, all right, this is the final cut. This is now to make the team or, you're out of the team. And so when I was playing special teams and they said go hit the wedge, oh, yeah. I hit the wedge and I knocked everybody down. Like,
you blew it up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was my job. So I had to do it, and it worked out pretty well because that last cut, back in the Silverdome days, there was 2 doors, and he was sitting between both of them, or right between the middle of them, and he said either go up, take your playbook upstairs with the coaches or go in the locker room. And he kind of looked at me and smiled and said, hey, I told you so, go in the locker room. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. I made the team, man. And my job was special teams. And I tell these guys.
That's a hard job,
I tell these high schoolers and these college guys, I say, listen, you can make a team by playing special teams. You better be ready to go knock some guys out and do a good job and study what you're supposed to be doing. But, there's opportunities out there. Every team has that special team guy out there that just plays all 4 aspects of it, and they do really well. So that was my job. So I was kind of like a Jason Hans a little bit. I went to special team meetings, and that was my focus, and then I went to offensive meeting, and I just kind of...
That's got to be difficult, though. I mean, because the special teams thing is first of all, it's a really, fan-wise, it's a subjective thing because you're always just following the ball. You're not seeing the guys who are blowing up the wedge, per se, number one. And number two, it's hard. It hurts, doesn't it?
Does. Because you're running full speed.
Yeah.
Because it's not...
You're going 30 miles an hour, man. You got guys, boom. Yes. And that collision, that's got to weigh on you, man. That's got to take its toll on your body the next day.
But you see my head, right?
Yeah.
It's like 50 pounds. So the wedge guys did not like that thing coming at them. So I utilized it, and it worked out well for me. I actually was 1999 special team MVP. And so my job, I thought I did really well.
Yeah.
And sometimes... he's got these high school kids that, all they play is kickoff. I'm like, listen, you can make a career doing these things, man. But you just gotta be tough too to do these things because, like I said, you are going down there 30 yards, you're hitting the guy as hard as you possibly can to blow up the wedge so other guys can make a tackle, and you have to sacrifice your body a little bit. But you always get to get some glory out of it. It's kind of interesting now that I've been out of it. I always hear people say, man, I used to love watching you on kickoff. I just watched you only on kickoff. I'm like, really? You guys did? That's crazy. I don't think anybody watched special teams like that, but they did because they liked what I did. Heck, I was on kickoff return. I was setting the wedge on kickoff return. They usually have big offense line back there, or defense tackles or something like that there because they want big guys out there. And I said, and they put me in the middle because I knew I could get the job done, and I would get my pads down. It's always interesting because people sit there and say, "Whoa, I wouldn't want to hit those guys in the wedge. They're 300 pounds." I said, I would rather hit a guy that's 300 pounds than a guy my size.
Why?
Because those guys think they're going to just blob and weigh into you like that. I go, I'm going to get my pads down. I'm going to explode into you.
So you can get lower than them is what you're saying, yeah.
So I know we're going to talk about this later, but about Nebraska and stuff like that, I have a great story there. But I've knocked guys out in the NFL on special teams. And I've talked to guys who I played against, then all of a sudden they came to the line and said, man, I was on the wedge return with, let's say, the Eagles or something like that. I said, I've never been hit so hard in my life until you hit me in that game. I'm like, well, that's good.
Yeah, that's a really good thing,
man.
That's
so
quite a compliment.
I did my job. So it was fun. It was tough. I mean, nowadays they don't really do much anymore because, guys are killing themselves basically.
Yeah.
And hopefully I was killing guys, and that's why they changed the rules. But, it's a lot different now. I mean, half times they don't even – you can't do a wedge anymore. The ball's usually kicked in the end zone, so it's a little bit different. But the guys they're killing each other doing that sometimes.
Well, and the other thing is this: you played running back, and the average life of a running back in the NFL is about 3.5 years. You spent 12 years in the NFL. You ever sit back and think, it's pretty cool, man? I had a pretty darn good living for a good 12 years that not many people get an opportunity to do.
We discussed that before. I was thinking about. I played high school football, Pee Wee football, the high school football. From high school football, I just moved on to college football. College football, I just went to the NFL. It was just my life. This is what I do. I don't think you really reflect on it until you're out of it for many years. You're like, wow, I played in the NFL for 12 years. That's amazing. You're thinking about the life expectancy of these players. The average is three years. That's why at 3.5 years, you get the pension, but not 3 years you don't. So it's interesting how they did that, but I am just blessed to be able to do that and actually still feel pretty healthy afterwards too. But looking back on it now, it's like, wow. Then I'll go to a game and I'll be on the sidelines watching the guys for the pregame. I'm like, holy smokes, look at these guys. They're just gigantic and stuff like that. But I didn't think anything of it. These are my linemen. These are my guys right here. I never thought, because I was like in the huddle, a fullback, Urlacher, he used to hate, gosh, how tall are you? Like 5'5"? Because I used to get underneath him. Well, he's 6'3", whatever he was.
Man, he was a safety at New Mexico State.
And I could get my pads underneath him. I could blow him on the hole and all that stuff. And he used to hate it because I could get low on him. I'm like, well, I don't want to be a tall fullback. They try to get these H-backs, these tight ends.
Yes.
They're 6'5". I'm like, they can't get their pads down. Yeah. The linebackers are 5 or 6 foot tall now, 200 pounds. They don't want to do these things.
It's hard for those tight ends to bend, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the low guy's always going to win. But I think a great story was we're playing Chicago towards the end of my career here, and had to go block Urlacher in the hole, and he cut me. I'm like, Brian, man, what are you doing? He's like, oh, man, coach told me to cut you. I'm like, sweet. I go, that's respect right there, man. Yeah. Nobody else. See, these are some of the things that you it's a good chance to talk to the fans about these things that people they don't see. They don't understand what's going on there. When a linebacker like Brian, who's a great linebacker, it's just a stud linebacker. When he's cutting me because the coach knows, hey, Cory's going to get you pretty good. So, we want to kind of take him out of there, and we want to clog up the hole with your body and his body. So the best way to do it is let's cut him down. So I'm like, that's respect, man. I like Brian because he gave me a lot of accolades too, and he was always fun to play with. I always tell the guys too, I said, well, when you're playing football, find the guy who's going to be on the camera the most. This can be the Ray Lewis. This can be the Urlacher. Go hit those guys the most because you know what? When they see that, you're going to be on TV a lot hitting these guys. So that's who you want to hit the most and try to hit the hardest because you're going to get on TV more doing those things.
We're at Fifth Avenue in Royal Oak with Cory Schlesinger, the former Lion. They live, eat, and breathe sports right here at Fifth Avenue. Fantastic patio bar, man. Billiards inside. Staff devoted to making your experience right here at Fifth Avenue a memorable one. 40 HD TVs, a 14-foot HD projection screen, and one-of-a-kind sportsbook viewing area as well. Come visit us when we're not just having our podcast here at Shep Shower and Shave, but also come here Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. It's fantastic, and Monday nights, especially when football season takes place. You talked about playing guys like Brian Urlacher, and a lot of guys, I would guess, view you as one of the more difficult guys to try and shed. Who were one of the most difficult guys you tried to block in the first place?
Oh, man. They're all tough to block. I mean, they're all pro guys, and they're all tough. But you just got to go out there and just try to get, because every once in a while they're going to get you. Another great example is Jesse Tuggle with the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta, yeah.
And
he was really underrated, don't you think?
Well, because he was undersized. He didn't look like the linebacker, especially back in the day, because back in the 90s, linebackers were big, man. I mean, Kirkland from the Steelers was 300 pounds. But then we had our own guys that were huge guys. They're 260, 270. But he was a little bit smaller guy, so like he wasn't get the look. But he was a Pro Bowler guy.
Sure.
And we ran an ISO play. This is Bobby Ross days. And I was like, yes, I'm going to take him out. Boom. I went to my knees. I'm like, oh, that was not cool at all. Go back in the huddle. Bobby Ross calls the exact same play. Well, this time I went, got him, boom, knocked him out. So I'm like, yes, sir. He's always going to remember that for the rest of his life. So I might not have that Super Bowl ring, or, well, I won't have that Pro Bowl accolade. I got Pro Bowl alternate, but
3-time Pro Bowl.
3-time, yeah. So, there's a lot of guys out there who's got scar on their shoulders that knocked them out or something like that they'll always remember. Number 30 from the Lions, man.
Yeah.
Who hit you the hardest? Well, it was Cory Schlesinger.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great feeling, especially when you see some of these guys that you played against outside of football. Like, man, you hit me the hardest, and that's always a good feeling to see hear those guys.
The most you ever carried a ball was 149 times. I think it was 2002. Did you ever ask to carry the ball more?
I did not. I liked the blocking aspect. It was fun though, because when Marty Morningwood came into town, he ran that West Coast type offense. And actually when Barry retired, he did it at the last second there. So we really have a chance to bring in more running backs, stuff like that. They're like, Cory, let's see your 2-point stance. And I'm like, sure, let's do it, man. I'm thinking, holy smokes, I'm in a 2-point stance in the NFL playing Seattle, and I actually had a pretty good game. I had 10 carries for 50 yards, so I had 5 yards per average. But I remember that was the first and only game I've ever cramped up on. I mean, sometimes I get a little side cramp or something like that for not breathing right and stuff like that. But this is the first time I ever cramped, like my legs start cramping, like, because I was still playing fullback, playing running back, plus playing all special teams.
Yeah.
And I was dying.
Must have lost a lot of weight that day, man.
I think I did.
Yeah.
But that was kind of cool just to get the opportunity to say, my goodness, I'm a running back in the NFL, not just a fullback. I am a running back in this position now.
Was there any resentment when Barry retired? I mean, what was how did you find out, and what was your first reaction? It's something, was it good for him? He left on his terms, or was it, are you serious? You're doing this to us now, like fans felt?
Well, it kind of worked out for me, I guess. I mean, I loved watching him play, and I really wanted to block for the guy, and he was a great – he could win games for us at the same time. The way he did it, did I get upset at him? Like, no, because it was his choice. I mean, nobody has to play the game. Nobody has to do these things, but, the way he did it was in a way that we couldn't bring another running back in, but which – it worked for me, I guess, because it gave me more opportunity to play. It gave Ron Rivers more opportunity to play, and some of these other guys. And we still did well. We still went to the playoffs that season. So, we still had enough talent on that team that we could go out there and get to the playoffs. I mean, granted, we got hammered in the playoffs. But,
by Philadelphia, right?
No, not that year. But that was still a Barry year.
Okay.
I think it was Tampa Bay or something like that. But that wasn't good at all. But we had a still successful year. Then the next year we brought in James Stewart.
Right.
Well, I love James Stewart. He came from Jacksonville.
A really good dude,
and, we had a great chemistry together, and we worked well together. He trusted me as a fullback, and, we had a great season together for a few years. But I never, ever was angry at Barry for leaving the game. And I know fans were super mad and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, if you quit your job someday, people are going to be mad at you. But people, people love Lions here, and I understand that. But I don't know. It was just one of those things that he chose to do it, and I guess it wasn't fun for him anymore, and he didn't like kind of what was going on in the organization.
I'm not sure it was ever fun for him. I think he did it. I think he did it because he was great at it. What was your relationship like with him?
Well, he locked her right next to me, so that was kind of cool. And we were in the running back rooms together. And he was a pretty quiet guy anyway. I just liked the way he did things. He was still a professional. I mean, he didn't have to do things, but he still did them the way he did. He was kind of secretive, as the way when he worked out and stuff like that. He kind of did when nobody else was there, but he was still a professional. He did what he was supposed to do, and he did it really well. And it was a great opportunity to play with one of the best in the NFL.
Do you have a favorite teammate?
Well, Stephen Boyd, we roommated a lot together, and not only during training camps, but back in the day when we had roommates on away games that we were together. So it was kind of interesting because it was linebacker and fullback, and we got to know each other pretty well, and it was a lot of fun, playing with him. But there's a lot of guys in the NFL or the Lions team that they're great guys. You get to know them, and then they're gone the next year, and it's like, shoot, what happened to these guys? Jason Hansen, I played with him for my 12-year career, and he is a great example of, everybody says, oh, he's just a kicker. Like, no, this guy studied and he worked his tail off to be a great kicker that could play for 21 years. And I would never, ever say, well, you're just a kicker. No, he was by far a professional kicker. I mean, that dude worked hard. And if he missed a ball or something like that, he worked even harder afterwards that next day. He's like, all right, he'd call up the punter, like, hey, let's go out there. Let's get here at 7 o'clock and start kicking balls already. And
also a really good athlete.
Oh, he's a great athlete.
Yeah.
And he was a professional football player. And that's what I want. I want more guys like that on my team that were upset when something went wrong, and they go out there the next day and try to make it even better, and that's why he played so long. And the funny thing about Jason, I don't know if you ever have him on the show or not like that dude could out-eat anybody on that training table.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my goodness. He's not the biggest guy. You got these offensive linemen are 300-plus pounds, but he can out-eat those guys any day. I don't know. That metabolism must have started as soon as he put a bite in his mouth. It must have been burning already. But, my goodness, he could out-eat everybody. And I think most people probably agree with me.
Why weren't you guys good enough? What were you missing? You had some really good players, man. I mean, you played with some guys who were really, really good, strong players at their position. Some of the best, maybe not the best, but some of the best in the league at their position. What held you back? It's not an easy answer.
I don't know. That's not an easy answer at all. I think sometimes how many head coaches I ended up having through my career? 7 plus twice that got fired mid-season, and oh my goodness, so a lot of guys. But
you want stability.
That makes a big difference too, because you have a Wayne Fonts who was a players coach.
Yeah. What does that mean, by the way? What's a players coach?
A players coach is a guy who's not going to run you, because some guys, they think we need to hit every single day in practice. We're going to put pads on all season long and hit each other in old school type football. Don't drink water because you're sissy and all that stuff. But he wasn't. But then again, when you have a players coach, you have to have players that know how to practice then. So if he's going to let you, say, we're going to have practice for an hour and 15 minutes, you got to work that hour and 15 minutes. You got to run out things and work. And I think we had players that could do these things. And then we had Bobby Ross, who's old military, which I loved, because you knew what you were doing like 4 years from now. Here's the roster. 4 years from now, we're going to be practicing at 12 o'clock. I'm like, holy smokes, how would you even know that?
Right.
But that's the way he did things. And I liked that style of football. It was very structured. And some players probably hated that, but I liked that a lot. And then from Bobby Ross, we went to Marty Morningwood.
Well, you had Gary Mueller in between. And now, that was an interim basis because Bobby quit or retired.
Yes.
And I remember talking to Stephen Boyd, and he was all in on Gary Mueller. He wanted Gary Mueller to remain. That was one of Matt Millen's first decisions. I'm going to fire Gary Mueller. I'm not going to re-sign Jeff Hardings, which I thought was stupid and maybe his biggest mistake. But I thought Gary Mueller, not that he should have been given a 10-year contract, but I thought he would have gotten a little bit longer leash.
Absolutely. And I think the players had a ton of respect for that guy.
They did, yeah. I know Stephen Boyd did.
They wanted to play for him. I mean, when he came into that locker room after Bobby Ross left, players were like, yes, you are our coach. And they were excited to play for him. And I was really hoping that they would have signed him and brought him as a coach. But he was old school still, though. We'd been hitting every single day all season long. But still, hey, players had respect for this coach, and they wanted to play for him. And it would have been a great opportunity to play for this guy. It's been interesting, though, to see what happened, because the West Coast offense came in after that, and with Marty, and
because
it worked out well for me.
He went 4-3.
Receptions, yeah.
And they bring in Marty Morningweg, and he's a first-time head coach. It's a bit of a circus.
Great offense coordinator.
Brilliant offensive mind, quite honestly.
But then again, I don't think the guys liked him as much as Gary, I guess.
But do you have to? I mean, I don't know if do players. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Do players have to like their head coach? They have to respect their head coach. You use the word respect.
Yeah, okay.
With Gary Mueller.
Yeah.
Marty Morningweg hadn't proven anything. He hadn't done anything, so he had to earn respect.
Yes.
And I'm not sure he was able to gain that quickly enough or universally enough. Is that fair?
I think that's the correct answer right there. So I think guys just didn't buy into that thing. They were kind of like they wanted Gary. I think they liked that coach. It's kind of weird because you are a professional. This is your job. But then again, you have to have that head coach that the players kind of want, which is silly. But
no, not necessarily. So then you go to Steve Mariucci, who had taken a team to an NFC championship game, right?
Yes.
You would think the credibility is already built in there. It was too much, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, it was too much of a country club.
Kind of was. And
right?
Our record showed it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness.
That was a difficult time right there.
It was
because there was a lot of expectation there with him at the helm. It was.
But then again, that offense was in there that worked well for me, so I kind of liked it at the same time. But it was, gosh, I don't want to say too much about it, but we didn't get things done.
No.
And I don't know if he. I don't want to talk about too much,
don't you think playing for the Lions is almost the best of both worlds? This place, this city embraces that team so much. They love it. They're passionate about it so much. And yet, on the other hand, because it has never had the success expected, people view you guys or the organization as failures. How difficult is that to deal with?
Well, since we're the only organization that's now in the Super Bowl, you kind of have to look at that as...
Well, that's not true. Cleveland's never been there.
Oh, okay. So, take it back.
Yeah.
Well, we still haven't been there.
Houston Texans haven't been there either.
Oh, geez,
they're
newer than what we are, though.
Right,
but,
right.
I love playing for Detroit because when they go to Ford Field or the Silverdome, they wanted to watch football. I had an opportunity to go down to Miami with the Dolphins, and I went to training camp and went a few preseason games. They were there for a party, where they're here to watch the Lions win, and they're very excited when we win. And they go to all the shows. They're very excited for this team, and
did you know that?
Disappointing.
Did you know that about Detroit when you first were drafted? I mean, what's the initial thought when you're a 6th-round draft pick and you're drafted by the Lions? What's the initial thought?
I guess I didn't really know much about Detroit. That's the thing. I came from Nebraska, man. I grew up in a town of 410 people. I didn't know anything out there besides Nebraska football, and we didn't have anything NFL-wise because we were just so focused on college football. We didn't really care because we didn't have an NFL team, so I really didn't get a chance to watch even what's going on out there. So that's my excuse anyway.
Well, it's a good one. So you went to Nebraska out of high school. How many offers were you getting, and why were you destined to be a Cornhusker?
Well, I was actually going to go wherever school was going to pay for me. And
all right, that works.
All the small schools are like, Cory, you have a job here if you want to take it or not. We understand that you want to go look at some other schools, but there was Nebraska, Northern Illinois. We had Wyoming. I got letters from all the Big 8 schools and stuff like that. It was just kind of hopefully Nebraska's going to choose me. I know Wyoming, they were really big on me, and when I finally called them up, because Nebraska gave me a scholarship. They offered me a scholarship, and I was supposed to go on an official visit to Wyoming, and I called up the coach from Wyoming, and I'm like, well, Coach, I have to cancel my visit because I just accepted a scholarship to Nebraska. And he's like, well, you didn't give us a chance and all that stuff. I'm thinking, Nebraska, Wyoming, okay.
Right.
That's a no-brainer right there.
Oh, no doubt. But, I was in Wyoming a couple years ago. It's nice and all, but it is.
It's not Nebraska.
No,
not at all.
It's pretty barren. It's pretty barren.
So
there's more
what's in Nebraska?
Rams. I think there's more Rams than people
Yeah.
out there, or antelope, or whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
But see, people sit there and think, "Oh, Cory, you must watch football all the time." I go, "It's so bad that all we have is Nebraska football," and I really couldn't have told you who the starting quarterback was then either. I don't watch
For the
football.
Lions.
No, for the Huskers.
Oh, for the Huskers.
And
Really?
it's like I just don't watch football. I'm sorry, I didn't. Just that was not my thing. I love playing the game, but just don't really watch it that much. And especially back then, I didn't really watch it because that was not my thing. I guess I just love playing it. Anyway,
well, you won you won a national championship,
yep.
right? And,
Yep.
and you were the co-lifter of the year.
Oh, yeah.
1 year as well. And you were all Big 8, honorable mention. What was, when you win the national championship, you scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns in 1995 in that Orange Bowl to win the national championship. What kind of euphoric feeling is that?
It was unbelievable. Especially because the year before we played Florida State and we lost in the final minute 12, minute 19 or something like that. And we had that up every day during summer conditioning, that minute 19 left, whatever was left, because we lost that game in that much time. So we're going to Miami. We had it was such a crazy season. I don't know if you guys, it's probably on the Big Ten Network, but you've seen it before. We had our team. We lost our starting quarterback to a blood clot. So our backup quarterback came in there, and there were two totally different style of quarterbacks. One was a runner and one was a thrower. So Brooke Behringer came in there, and we kept moving along. He gets hurt. So next thing we know, we have our third string.
That's Tommy Frazier?
No, Tommy was starting. He got hurt.
Oh, okay.
Brooke came out.
All right.
And then we had Matt Turman come in there, our third stringer. And we're like, holy smokes, we're going to run ISO plays, and this is all we're going to do because we don't want him running that much. But he went out there, and we did well. Of course, our defense is very strong, and they won the game for us also. But anyway, the national championship game. So we make the national championship game. We're playing in Miami. We're playing the Miami Hurricanes. We're playing against Sapp, Ray Lewis, James Stewart, the running back. I mean, they had a great team.
Yeah.
And
Was Ed Reed on that team or no?
I'm not sure.
He might have been.
But it's kind of interesting because we beat these guys, beat them in the fourth quarter. I mean, we got killed the first half. And the second half, we just came out there and just out-physical them. We out-conditioned them, and we just took it to them the second half. But it's interesting because the opening kickoff return, they kicked off to us, and I knocked out one of their guys. And I'm thinking, yes, everyone's going to see this on national television. They're going to instant replay, slow motion, all this stuff. No one saw it. So after the game, I don't know, because it was not a big deal. So fourth quarter comes around, I scored 2 touchdowns. Everybody's like, oh, that was the best part of the game. And all stuff. I go, no, the best part was the opening kickoff return. I didn't think anybody saw it, except Warren Sapp wrote a book. And I was looking at my name one day because I'm so vain of myself and all that stuff. So anyway, I saw these clips about his book. He's like, talking about Nebraska Cornhuskers coming to Miami. These Hicks from Nebraska, they don't have the talent that we do and all this stuff. They can't handle our climate, all these things. And
plus, it was a home game for them.
It was a home game for them, basically. And he goes, until the opening kickoff return, when Cory Schlesinger knocked out one of our guys on our sideline, and we all saw him do that. He's like, these guys are right here. They're here to play. And I'm like, holy smokes. They knocked out our first guy in the opening kickoff return. I was like, they saw it. The whole defense saw that play. I'm like, yes, they knew it.
Well, so would you rather have been known in that national championship game for that play or the 2 touchdowns you scored?
Well, the 2 touchdowns gave me more credit to bring me to the NFL, I think, because everybody remembers that play. And I think every player that came out that year, like, hey, Cory, I remember watching that play. That was great. We were excited when you got drafted for us and everything. So that was a good play. But I think there will still be enough coaches out in the NFL to say, hey, this is who we want on our team right here, the guy who's going to knock out other players. And that's why I played special teams my second year only, because they knew I could do these type of things out there. So
what was it like playing for Tom Osborne?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, he was unbelievable. I don't even know how to explain it sometimes. I just had an opportunity. I had to talk to these high school football team, and I was trying to explain about what Tom Osborne's like. And I think we won those championships because players from throughout the country, when he came and visited these guys, they wanted to play for him. They just saw him and the way he talked to these players and the way he talked to the parents, talked about the education before the football game. Everybody's like, they just wanted to play for this guy, and they'll do anything for him. I mean, I'm sure every coach probably says that, or every organization says that, but I think Tom Osborne was just a special guy, which it's going to be hard to get something like that back out there again. I think it's really difficult to have a guy like that out there again. And, you see him in the hallway, and he would never ask you about football. He would sit there and say, "Hey, Cory, how's class today? How's your family doing?" Never raised his voice. And
you saw him as a father figure?
Oh, I think every player did. And that's why they wanted to go out there and play and win and do whatever. Cory, go run through that brick wall. Okay, I will. Yes, sir. Bam, I did it. And I think every player, all 100 and some players you had back in the day, would do the exact same thing for him. So he was a special coach that it's hard to find anymore. So
give us the do you remember the number of broken face masks? That's the Lions lore that you're famous for.
There's about a gazillion brain cells first, and then the face mask came after that. But it's kind of interesting because John Brown, the equipment manager for the Lions, he had to change my face mask every game. And so one year he just started taking a tally of how many face masks I was going through. He would keep them in this box, and it would be literally 20 a season almost. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about it. And back in the Silverdome days, the blue face mask, those are like aluminum foil there, but it wasn't so much I broke it in half or anything like that. But what happens is, I'd bend the bars pretty good. I would spring it.
20 a season, though, Cory.
Well, you think about preseason plus.
I know, but
they would change me every season.
That is a ton. That means you're
see what you hit, though. So that's the main thing. So if you got your eyes all up, I'm not using the top of my head. I'm using basically my forehead right there. So you got to see what you hit, and then the style I played, I saw what I hit guys, and I wanted to hit them, and I want to hit them in the helmet too, because you get them on the side, you're not in the middle. You always got to say square up, staying right in the middle of them. So if you hit them right in the middle, that's a perfect block then. I got my pad leverage down and my head's come underneath them and knocking them out. I'm not knocking them out like cold, but I'm talking about getting them out of the hole. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do because I've got my head up, I got pad leverage underneath them, and that's why it was such an effective player out there. Of course, I had that big cage face mask too. That
helped you a little bit. Should NFL? I want to ask if contracts should be guaranteed, but I think a lot of them are because they're signing bonuses. But in general, you look at the NBA, 5-year deal is a 5-year deal. Yep. Major League Baseball, you're on the dotted line for 3 years, you're getting paid for 3 years. Hockey, the same thing. Football, not necessarily true. What needs to change there?
Wow, that's you have to ask Rob Rubick on that one. I don't know. That is only professional sport that is not a guaranteed play, just because of the injuries, and I think that's the reason why they do it. And there's so many players there. I mean, there's a lot more players, I guess. That's why they don't want to do it either, because it just costs them too much money. Well,
they're making a lot of money, dude.
They are making a lot of money. Yeah, people sit there. These guys make a lot of money. But I would like to have a guarantee. Well, I played all my contracts, which is kind of nice. And I know a lot of these guys don't get a chance, and just the injury rate's so high. I think we'd lose money. Then I wouldn't be able to get a good contract because we have to pay for 30 of these guys who are not even playing anymore because they owe them money.
I get it. It's interesting because football, I've said this to Marvin Jones last year. Marvin Jones has a couple of sons. They play football. And you're reading more and more football players who tell anybody who will listen that I'm not having my kids play. Do you worry about your sport? Do you worry about where it will be in 15 years, considering a lot of moms today say, my kid's not playing football. I love watching it, but it's too scary for my kid.
I think there's enough players out there that will still play the game no matter what, because they're making a lot of money now too. So
players,
you're good at the sport. You can continue playing it. There's an opportunity to make a good living off of it, and I'm going to take the risk. Hopefully, if everything goes right, like I said, I didn't have any surgeries. Hopefully, nothing will happen. With all the head injuries and stuff like that, and. But I don't have a son, so I don't really know. But would I let him play football? And I think absolutely I would. So, there's chances in everything you do. You drive to work every single day. You take that same path, but someday a semi is going to pull out in front of you. There's just risk in everything you take.
Yeah.
I mean, soccer. Everybody's like, "Oh, I play soccer. Like those balls are coming at your head pretty hard, and you see a lot of concussions in soccer.
Right.
I don't know what sport is out there anymore that you're not going to get injured in. I mean, heck, rodeo, baseball. These guys are getting killed. I know they limit the the catcher going to the home base and running over the catcher and stuff like that. Every sport is going to have risks, and that's just a chance you're going to have to take, I guess.
What was the favorite place you played and your least favorite place you played?
Silverdome was the worst place. No,
it really was. I mean, Philadelphia probably. Because of that turf. Not because of the fans, but the turf was just awful.
Yeah.
And dangerous, wasn't it?
The old stadium.
Yes. Yeah, the vet.
That was a terrible. Well, all those baseball/football fields were not
St.
good.
Louis, yeah, right.
Minnesota,
right.
It was just, they were not very good. My favorite place was playing in Dallas, not the new stadium, the old
Texas Stadium.
Yep,
right.
Texas Stadium. By far my favorite place to play. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because we always played them late in the season, but the fans were literally 5 yards behind you. They had the cheerleaders, the opening music. I just loved
a show.
Playing.
Yeah.
And to me, growing up as a kid, my cousin liked Dallas Cowboys, so we always watched Cowboys, and that was NFL football to me.
Yeah.
But getting a chance to play there, it was outstanding. I just love playing there. Tampa Bay was a great place too because of that whole pirate scene and stuff like that.
Right.
Ford Field, love playing at Ford Field. That's a great place to play. Like I said, Silverdome was by far the loudest place we played at, but it was turf, and
it was hard.
Fans,
it's like playing on concrete.
Well, all the fields were.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting because talking about that, grass fields, then that field turf came in there, and I came through the NFL or college turf. NFL, Silverdome days, turf. Then we played on field turf, and we played on natural grass and field turf. And it was like, yeah, this stuff's good. And there was no more turf burns. And, it's kind of interesting. End of the season, we would just throw my sheets away because there would be so much blood and pus, and that's gross. But on my side of the bed, because, you'd be sleeping, and that scab would peel off, and next thing you got blood all over the place. So we'd just, every season, just throw those sheets away because they were no good. Well, anyway, field turf and natural grass. And then we would play in Minnesota. That was the last place to have turf. So we had to go all get our old shoes out, our field turf, or not field turf, our regular turf shoes out there and wear them. And I was thinking, what in the world were we ever thinking playing on this stuff? Because it is literally a half-inch of carpet on concrete.
Right. That's exactly what it was.
I didn't think anything of it before, but then it's like, when we played on it again, like, wow, this stuff is super hard here. And, geez, I think that's another reason to get concussions. I remember hitting the turf sometimes, but your heads bounce off of that, and, like, yeah, that's seeing stars there. But
do you worry about that at all? I mean, the concussions, every football player I talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, you say no surgeries, and that's fantastic, but what about the head? How are you there?
At 55, am I going to remember my wife's name or my kids and all that stuff? That's scary stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw, movies, documentaries on these things. I'm like, holy smokes, I do not want this. They say ALS, but they're like, no, the ALS has the same symptoms as all the concussions you're getting.
Okay.
But they might just diagnose that like, well, I do not want that at all. And that's a horrible, horrible thing to have. And it is scary. It's really frightening. And,
you don't have any problems with it now, though, do you?
I sit there a little bit. I mean, I don't know if I'm just always had this, always been this way, but sometimes I sit there. If I see students outside the classroom, I'm like, okay, what the heck is your name right there? But I'm sure I've heard other teachers say the same thing, so it's not that scary. So, but I really hope nothing happens. But the good thing is the NFL, they will now are going to kind of take care of the players if something does happen. Hopefully I don't ever have to worry about, not money-wise. They're talking they will set your family up, put you in a home if something something really goes bad.
They should.
And I think so too. I don't want a cent from you guys. I already got my money. I don't want a penny from you because I'll just blow it now. I want you to take care of me. That way I don't have to, my family doesn't have to spend the money to put me in a home. So,
hey, let me ask you this. You mentioned if I had a son, I'd have no problem with him playing football. You have two daughters.
Yep.
What is having daughters taught you?
Oh, man. Well, you can't wrestle them. You can't play football with them. Those are two sports I know. They play tennis and volleyball. I don't know nothing about either one of those sports there. And my wife probably knows more about those sports than I do right now. But, they get turned teenagers and then they want to date boys and stuff like that. And that's crazy. That's
is there any intimidation on your part when Natalie or her sister bring home a date?
No, because I don't know. I guess I kind of shake their hand a little bit harder and stuff like that. And I will always be in shape if something has to happen here. I will still be able to take care of business. So Natalie, I still got my girls' back all the time. So, and I will always kind of have to put the fear of God in the boys. Mm-hmm. So they'll know not to mess with things or
That's good.
You better make it right. You better take care of my girls here. So,
do you enjoy going back to Ford Field on Alumni Day? I'll see you there, and a chance for you to reminisce with some of those guys. And are you close with some of your ex-teammates, or again?
I try to. They just they leave and they change their phone number. You don't see them again. Every once in a while, I'll just look up people's names and oh, okay, and I'll find a phone number and or email, and I'll email them. Hey, is this Shane Bonham or something like that? Hey, Cory, what's going on, man? I'm like, oh, nothing. I'll just see if it was you. So I don't really ever talk to them again, though. But I'll look up other players, as long as they don't have a name like James Stewart, because there's 18 million James Stewarts out there. But right. Shane Bonham, there's not a lot of those guys out there, or Mike Wells and stuff like that. But it's hard. Guys leave, they change their phone numbers, and you just don't see them again. But seeing some of the alumni, it's kind of fun because they have different stories than what you remember. Even though we were all there together, I'm like, I don't remember that. Like, oh my goodness, you did this. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'll tell them, hey, I remember when you did this, and they don't remember that either. So that's probably the fun part of it is just talking about some of the past. Because every player you talk to, I don't know if this is true or not, they always talk about the locker room. What was your favorite part of the
NFL?
Right,
that's what they miss.
It was the locker room.
They miss most,
they miss that part.
Yeah.
And
why is that, do you think?
Because we were always showering, and no, that's horrible.
That's the last
What's
thing.
wrong with me, man? But I don't know, because you get to talk to these guys, and you can talk about their college careers and what they went through, and they talk about the NFL career, and they talk about plays and what they see on the sideline, what happens during games and stuff like that. Guys dislocating their fingers and they get it pulled out and taped up and they go out there and play and it's just hitting guys and Cory, take it easy on us today or something like that. It's like I can't. It's just in my blood to go out there and try to hit you every day. I'll kind of give them the little warning, like, hey, Steve, I'm kind of coming this way to this play, so they have a heads up. But this is a great one too. John Perella, who I played with in Nebraska, and then he played in the NFL for 12 years, and now he's a defensive line coach at Nebraska. I was talking to him a couple summers ago, and he's like, Cory, you probably didn't know this, but so this is a great story. He goes, but when you were running cars, because I played freshman football and I ran cars. In my second year, I was redshirted, so all I ran was cards. And
what do you mean cards?
Cards mean I'm running the other team's offense.
I got you.
And I was in the run station. We had 4 stations: run offense, run defense, or whatever. Anyway, 4 stations, and I was in the run card offense. I'm running other people's plays to get them ready for the game Saturday. And he goes, you didn't probably know this, but we were trying to hurt you every single day in practice. I go, what? He goes, yes, we hated playing against you in practice because you would hurt us. And so we were trying to hurt you to get you out of practice. I'm like, he goes, no matter what we did, you just still got up and just went back to the huddle and ran the same play. I'm like, I had no idea you guys were doing this, man. But
when you go back to Nebraska, do people still recognize you? Do you talk to the team?
They do.
That's a good feeling, isn't it?
I was just at a sports memorabilia place in Lincoln, and just a few weeks ago, and there was people coming in there and they were taking pictures and stuff with me like that, and they said, you play for Nebraska, especially win a championship in Nebraska, they remember you. And it's kind of interesting. I'm like, well, I played 12 years in the NFL too. Like, no, you played for the Huskers and you won a championship. That's all they cared about. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's great. I mean, that's why when the Lions win, it'll be the same way. They will always remember that team, and no matter what happens. And
do you think they'll win?
They will someday, but it will happen, and hopefully soon. And I think it will be soon. I think
You believe in the guy in front office?
Oh,
Bob Quinn?
I mean, I think it's.
Okay.
I mean, he has a track record that is a winning organization. I mean, he came from a pretty decent
Yeah, but you
organization.
came from a winning organization in Nebraska. I mean, Jeff Backus played at Michigan and won a national championship. Dominic Raiola played at Nebraska. Okay? I mean, it's not like they haven't drafted or put together guys who know what it takes to win.
Yeah,
it just
that's
hasn't
true.
happened.
That's true. It's going to happen. Hey,
All right.
I'm positive about these things.
All right, let me ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
Do you still, a lot of players, when I talk to them, once they're out of their sport, we're done, right? They don't still take the interest unless they're getting paid for it as an analyst or something like that. Do you still watch the NFL?
To visit the fans and all that stuff? Or
No. Do you?
Well, like I said before, I never watched football growing
before,
up.
right?
And I don't watch a ton now, but now I do because I'll kind of be watching it as I'm watching film. So I'll be watching the defense going, okay, here comes the blitz on the right side.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
It's kind of funny because
you were a film hog when you played,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So you were constantly in the film room.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I was just discussing this today, a couple days ago, but somebody who taught me the most was Tom Rathman.
Right.
And I had him towards the end of my career. But
he was your running backs coach, right?
He taught me things. I'm like, oh my goodness, for how many years I've been doing this, no one's ever showed me this part. I'm like, oh my goodness, it just makes it a lot easier for myself. It makes it, just makes it a lot easier for me to understand what that defense is doing. And he really taught me how to know the game and watch what they're doing out there. And it made a huge difference. And it really simplified a lot of things out there. So, Mo Carthon, he was tough. I mean, he
was your running backs coach?
Yeah, for a couple of years.
And played for the
had
Giants.
Great years.
Yeah.
I had 50 receptions. I had a lot of runs. Had a great season with him. But he was a different style of coach. He was a Parcells guy. He played for the Giants that won a Super Bowl with Lawrence Taylor.
Yep.
And they were tough. They were a tough team. They had tough coaches and tough players, and that's the way he coached. And I was like, who the heck is this guy? I never had a coach like this that
was 2001. You had 60
no play.
receptions, by the way, not 50, 60.
Oh, 60, yeah. So that chewed you out no matter what. And I never really understood why this happened. And so at the end of the season, I went to talk to him about it, and I said, Coach, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I have 60 receptions. I have this. He goes, Cory, we won 2 games this year. He goes, what do you want me to do, pat you on the back? I go, oh, my goodness, you are absolutely right. And then I had a totally different perspective. Then another player who got injured, who wanted to go into coaching, so he kind of go up to coaches' meetings and listen to them. He goes like, you know what, Cory? Mo has he has a lot of respect for you. And I go, then why is he chewing me out every single thing I did? He goes, that's the way he feels like he can make you motivated to play. So after I talked to him, and it was kind of interesting because the next season, the first practice and minicamp was like, well, I'm supposed to be a little bit nicer to you guys on the stuff. And I'm like, no, Coach Mo, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, give me some respect when I deserve it. But I had a whole different image of him now because now I understood what he wanted. I knew he had my back because he would not let other coaches rip on his players. He would say, listen, you're not saying bad things about my players. I will do it myself.
Right.
Do not talk bad about my guys. And
you're his position group, you're saying. Yeah.
And them like, this is who I want. This is my coach right here because I love when coaches are going to defend me. I don't want them throwing me under the bus. Right. And coaches do these things. They will throw you under the bus and they'll two-face you. I mean, this is our job again also. But when you have respect for a guy like that, man, I was like, man, Mo, I love you now because I did not understand you that first year. And that second year, I was like, this is great.
It's not a whole lot different than parenting, is it?
Exactly. It just, the way he did things was a little bit different than the previous coaches. But once I understood the man, I loved him. So
it's great stuff, man. I mean, that's one of the fastest hours I've ever done. I told you I'd keep you a little bit less than that, but I couldn't stop, man. It was such great stuff. It's great to see you.
You bet.
Keep up the great work there and teaching, and those kids are better for it, no doubt. Enjoy. Your daughter's going to Michigan State.
Yes,
enjoy that time in her life. It's fantastic stuff. We miss you in the Lions locker room, but it's great to see you on Alumni Day. Let's hope we can have you back sometime soon. Cory Schlesinger, the former Lion, with us here at Fifth Avenue. Brought to you by Fifth Avenue. Always been a premier destination in Royal Oak with over 36 cold beers on tap, great food, drink specials, a kitchen that is open until 2 a.m. daily. Brought to you by Northwestern Tech. The big HVAC companies in the area, ask them where you should go. They'll tell you Northwestern Tech. HVAC is all they teach, and they've been doing it for over 38 years. Call them today at 248-358-4006. And by Nate Knopf Designs. You see his work on Instagram or on Facebook. This has been Shep Shower and Shave.